Hey friends, it's Ash again. I hope you're all staying safe and sound in these really confusing and scary times. I didn't expect this to be my first installment for my In My Opinion series, but in light of the fact I no longer have a job and still want to be as productive as possible, I thought it would be worth it to write up a script, fix up this animated puppet, and give it a go. Let's start with asking, what is coronavirus? According to the Johns Hopkins Medicine website, coronaviruses are a type of virus. There are many different kinds and some cause disease. A newly identified type has caused a recent outbreak of respiratory illness now called COVID-19. Symptoms are showing up in people within 14 days of exposure to the virus. These symptoms include cough, fever, and shortness of breath. In rare cases, COVID-19 can lead to severe respiratory problems, kidney failure, or death. Ways to protect yourself from the virus include washing your hands frequently and thoroughly for at least 20 seconds, using alcohol-based hand sanitizer if soap and water aren't available, cover coughs and sneezes with a tissue, then throw the tissue in the trash, avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth with unwashed hands, stay home if you're sick, clean and disinfect surfaces and objects people frequently touch. As you're probably aware, in a very short time, this virus has completely altered the daily lives of nearly everyone on the planet. At the time of writing this, on March 19th, there are currently 390 positive cases of coronavirus in Florida. It would help if people would actually heed warnings and practice social distancing, but if not, we're going to be hauled up in our homes well into 2021. Please stay home. Now, this poses a pretty big problem for the elderly population and immunocompromised people who are the most at risk of contracting and being killed by this virus. A lot of people are out of work, or worse, forced to continue working and therefore contributing to the spread of the virus. So, how do we handle this dilemma? Here come the bailouts, and unfortunately, I do not mean for said people who could get sick and die. I mean for airlines and the stock market. On March 17th, 2020, the New York Times shared an article starting with, a week ago, major U.S. airlines said that they could absorb the cost of the coronavirus pandemic. Now, after travel bans around the world, they've approached the government for help. The help they are requesting comes in the form of over $50 billion, on top of asking banks for billions in loans. I guess they should have thought twice before buying that Starbucks, am I right? Oh god. Before this, the Federal Reserve gave Wall Street a bailout of, what was the number? Oh, right, $1.5 trillion. This after politicians have decried the cost of Medicare for all every time it's announced. This after politicians have refused canceling student debt or providing any assistance at all because we didn't have the money. So, what does the coronavirus teach us about money? It's fake. Money is fake. Now, before you start commenting and calling me whatever ideological term suits your capitalistic rage, let me explain. In Scottish economist Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations, he sought to criticize mercantilism, I definitely said that wrong, I'm so sorry, which was the primary economic system at the time. Under mercantilism, I hate myself, it was believed that wealth was finite. Prosperity could be increased by keeping gold and precious metals and tariffing goods from other countries. He proposed instead a system based on the principle of laissez-faire, which requires that the state should not impose any restriction on freedom of an individual. The theory of economic development rests on the pillars of saving, division of labor, and wide extent of market. If you didn't know, this is basically the premise of free market capitalism. Cards on the table, my degree is in fine arts, not economics. That's why I'm going to put all the links to these resources I used in the description below, and please feel free to correct any information I may share if it's incorrect. Speaking of misinformation, according to Alana E. Strauss's article, The Myth of the Barter Economy, Adam may have gotten a few things wrong. In The Wealth of Nations, he describes an imaginary scenario in which a baker living before the invention of money wanted a butcher's meat, but he had nothing the butcher wanted. No exchange can, in this case, be made between them, Smith wrote. This sort of scenario was so undesirable that societies must have created money to facilitate trade, argues Smith. In simple early economics, people engaged in barter. But various anthropologists have pointed out that this barter economy has never been witnessed as researchers have traveled to underdeveloped parts of the globe. No example of a barter economy, pure and simple, has ever been described, let alone the emergence of it from money, wrote the Cambridge anthropology professor Caroline Humphrey in a 1985 paper. Sorry, that tone was because that was weirdly difficult for me to say and I don't know why. All available ethnography suggests that there has never been such a thing. When barter has appeared, it wasn't as part of a purely barter economy, and money didn't emerge from it. Rather, it emerged from money. After Rome fell, for instance, Europeans used barter as a substitute for the Roman currency people had gotten used to. In most of the cases we know about, barter takes place between the people who are familiar with the use of money, but for one reason or another don't have a lot of it around, explains David Graeber, an anthropology professor at the London School of Economics. One example of a society that thrived into an empire without the use of currency is the Inca Empire. McEwen wrote, "The most unusual aspect of the Inca economy was the lack of a market system and money. With only a few exceptions, there were no traders in the Inca Empire. Each citizen of the empire was issued the necessities of life out of the state storehouses, including food, tools, raw materials, and clothing, and needed to purchase nothing. There were no shops or markets, and therefore there was no need for a standard currency or money, and there was nowhere to spend money or purchase or trade for necessities." So, what does this have to do with the coronavirus? Well, since we're all practicing social distancing and a majority of people have lost their jobs, they no longer have a way to make money, buy things, or in general play into the system of capitalism. People are going to die if they don't have the necessities they need, but there are also people helping them. People doing labor free of charge to make sure their neighbors, their loved ones, and strangers don't die from this disease. The myth that the only thing that motivates people to work is this constructed threat of work or die is being proven false as people make countless efforts every day to help their community. I'm not saying that the Incan system was perfect. It was susceptible to corruption, which inevitably led to its downfall. But look at where we are right now. Capitalism is also not perfect. It has also been corrupted, and this is its downfall. We can make a better system, and we can start by talking about it right now. The world is permanently changed by this catastrophe. We've suffered and we've learned. People don't have to starve to death. People don't have to be homeless. And people don't have to spend their lives in a debt they can never even dream of crawling out of. Money is fake, wealth is dangerous, but people are real and compassionate. I'm not going to tell you you should take what I say at face value. Do your research, look at the resources in the description, find more resources, educate yourself, and reach your own conclusions, because this is just my opinion, and I want to hear yours. Thanks for listening, stay safe, and look out for each other. Ash out.